Aunt Jill, he looks an awful lot like Garth's mouse, said Karen. You don't suppose? One mouse looks pretty much like another, said Aunt Jill briskly. Now, girls, back to your bunks. I'll take the mouse to Garth. Darkness fell on Ralph as she replaced the hat over the basin. Ralph felt himself being carried out of the girls' lodge, past the craft shop, where he could hear Chum gnawing on the bars of his cage. Poor old Chum. He heard the door of Garth's lodge being opened. Garth, whispered Aunt Jill. Wake up, wake up. I have something for you. Huh? Said Garth sleepily. Waking up a sleeping boy in the hot summer afternoon is not easy. I have a mouse for you, said Aunt Jill. A mouse? Ralph could tell Garth was wide awake now. Let me see. Ralph sat quietly in the basement while the hat was cautiously lifted. He could see the other boys and their counselor sprawled in sleep on their bunks. And on the ledge over Garth's lower bunk, he saw his crash helmet. Karen found him in a hole in her sleeping bag. Aunt Jill explained, and it was the strangest thing. She found her missing watch inside the hole. Ralph saw that Aunt Jill was studying him thoughtfully. No kidding, exclaimed Garth, forgetting to keep his voice down. Yes, whispered Aunt Jill, and the gals thought you might like to have the mouse. I sure would, whispered Garth. I think we can bend the cage back into shape, said Aunt Jill. Can I keep him here in the wash basin? Asked Garth. He might escape, said Aunt Jill, but he's your mouse. She smiled and slipped quietly out of the lodge. You did it, whispered Garth. Sure I did, said Ralph. But do I have to sit here in this basin? Of course not, answered Garth, holding out his hand. Ralph leaped into Garth's palm, and Garth gently moved his hand close to his pocket. And there, as he had hoped, was the motorcycle. In the warm and cozy darkness, he ran his paws over the handlebars and the plastic seat, the wheels, the exhaust pipe. The motorcycle was intact, and it was his once more. He had earned it. Ralph popped back out of the pocket. You aren't going to make me go back into that cage, are you? He asked. Not if you promise not to run away. I'm taking you back to the inn tomorrow. Remember? You haven't forgotten your promise about the motorcycle, have you? Asked Ralph, just to be sure. Nope, answered Garth. I won't run away, promised Ralph. But there's one more thing. Before you leave camp, do you suppose you could give Chum a piece of wood to gnaw, so he wouldn't have to gnaw on his cage to keep his teeth worn down? Why, sure, whispered Garth, right after rest time. That needed taking care of and made Ralph feel better about leaving Chum alone in the craft shop. He was about to climb back into the pocket when Garth whispered, Do me a favor, will you? Let me see you ride the motorcycle before everybody wakes up. Sure. Ralph was happy to agree to this request. Gently, Garth lifted Ralph and the motorcycle to the floor. Then he handed down the crash helmet, which Ralph set on his head and secured by snapping the rubber band under his chin. Expertly, he grasped the handle grips, threw his leg over the plastic seat, and taking care to keep his tail to the spokes, inhaled. Ralph took off across the concrete floor while Garth leaned over the edge of his bunk to watch. Ralph bent low over his handlebars and increased his speed. Filled with joy and excitement of speed, he rode in a figure eight around Garth's cowboy boots, which were lying on the floor. Garth's counselor moved in his sleep, and Ralph shot out of sight under Garth's bunk until the counselor lay still. He rode until he was breathless, and then he coasted to a stop in front of Garth, where he sat panting with his crash helmet pushed back on his head. Boy, whispered Garth, was that ever great? Ralph silently agreed. I sure wish I could do that. Garth picked up Ralph and the motorcycle and put them gently in his pocket. After all the excitement of the morning, Ralph was ready for a nap, but first he popped his head out of Garth's pocket. Thanks, friend, he said. And by the way, don't roll over on me during rest time. Don't worry, whispered Garth. I'll get you back to the inn in one piece. And your motorcycle, too. Well, that concludes Runaway Ralph. We hope that you enjoyed this wonderful book. Can't wait for the next one.